Welcome to I Love My HBCU ? The podcast where we express our undeniable love for HBCUs, but where we are also not afraid to address a few tough questions. So, sit back, learn a little, love a lot, and rep your HBCU. Another episode and another reason to love your HBCU. We have Dillard alum Tevon Blair in the house. Tevon, how are you?
I am feeling good. It's almost Christmas, so I am ready and excited for the holiday.
I'm with you on that. Oh my gosh, listen, this is not how I wanted to start this, but let's go with the Christmas theme. No, we're not going to go with the Christmas theme. Tavon, I've been asking a lot of people this question, and I'm just being nosy and curious when I ask this question. What is the one word that you are going to usher in to live by in 2026?
Oh, so 2025, my one word was community. I'm still leaning towards community for 2026, but I think purpose is the word I'm leaning for 2026.
Oh my gosh. So I have a hyphenated word, and did you see my eyes when you said purpose?
hmm
My hyphenated word is purposeful delusion.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Purposeful delusion.
You have to have delusion to, and it probably sounds a little wild, but you have to have delusion to really push for your dreams because it's not there yet. So you have to be very hopeful and aspirational in where you want to go. And so I support that all the way.
So let's delve right into it. Chris is cursing me out in the back because we typically have a schedule of topics that I should be going through first. But no, talking about purposeful delusion from one entrepreneur to another, and especially entrepreneurs in the social equity, social impact space, how important has being delusional about delusional confidence, delusional purpose. How important has that been for you? Because you are an award winner in this space and you're just starting, for crying out loud. So yeah, how important has being delusional been as a co-founder of Excel Leader, as all the things? Sorry, go ahead.
You're good. It has been what has got us to where we are today. So, as the co-founder of Excel Leader, alongside my two other friends, Jade Agadozi from Howard University and Arian Foreman from Tennessee State, the three of us, we did this work back in 2018 when we started Excel Leader. It started as a Zoom call. We wanted to help train students to become SGA presidents. And that's where our work started. And then the pandemic really opened up that mind of so many more students need help and support. We had $0 and 0 cents to support this work. And we were just so aspirational in our thoughts and our dreams. And from the idea of us seeing we want to mobilize HBCU students around politics, we started Vote HBCU. And so in doing that work, that was just an idea throughout the pandemic that we pushed out. Not only was that an idea then, I was also a grad student at George Washington University in DC, and I was able to really fully develop this program out. So not only did it help me in my grad school program, but also Vote HBCU is now in year 5. And that one idea that we have of having all these aspirational goals, still with $0 and 0 cents to support the work, we finished that year off with a $200,000 grant. So from an idea to $200,000. And then in 2023, we received $500,000 to support our nonprofit. And mind you, this was just a Zoom call. We were going to support HBCU students. And so looking at it today is that we had so many meetings where we were thinking of these big ideas and I got to find a way to fund this work. And we have finally been able to fund it for these past 3 years. We have 2 more years of our grant fund. And so we just got to continue being a little bit more of the purposeful delusion to get year-long funding to support our nonprofit. So it has been amazing. And this is just us as HBCU alumni giving back.
So number one, congratulations. A lot of us in this space understand how challenging it is to do this work with zero support and $0. That's number one. Number two, we also understand how tireless this work is. So there's the funding part, but then there's also, though, we have to just continue beating the pavement on the actual work itself.
Yeah.
So what your organization does, one of the things that your organization does, and listen, I'm anyone who is part and has been part of our journey from year one. This is year three for us. Or is it ending year two? Ending year two. I'm not good at math, so hey, somebody's gonna correct me at some point in time, and that's fine. Um, but anyone who's been part of our network understands that typically I like to delve into the HBCU space, but as from one social impact advocate to another social impact advocate, you don't know how excited I am to just get straight to the conversation about social impact work, right? And I know that what your organization does, or one of the things that your organization does, is leading non-partisan activations. That's what I'm going to call it generally, non-partisan activations at HBCUs. And I want to come back to what one of the main purposes was, i.e., train future SGA leaders. I haven't heard anyone doing that, and I love that. But back to Excel leader for a hot second. Tevon, how much longer do you think we, and by we I mean the United States of America, how much longer do you think we have to exercise this two-party, partisan as heck political structure? How much longer do you think generations have to abide by this? Because it's not working. I don't care who you are, it's not working. How much longer do you think we are going to be beholden to this?
That is a deep question. I think that I think we have more power than we think we do, and we don't utilize it in the way that we should. And I made a video a few weeks ago, or even a few months ago, saying how people need to prepare themselves for the 2026 election cycle, preparing for 2028.
Yes.
And so many people were like, well, why? Like, we're not gonna be able to vote again. Like, why are we doing that? And I'm like, who told you that? Like, what has happened where you think you do not have a right to vote when I here in Georgia, we vote every week. Um,
It looks like that because
yeah.
there's always somebody campaigning for something.
And so we were voting in like local elections a few months ago, and I made a joke and was like, "Look, I voted. This is the I have proof that I voted after the 2024 election cycle. Shows proof that all of this conversation of people not being able to vote, that has not directly happened. So let's stop carrying this narrative that it's going to stop." And
Yeah.
so to answer your question about how many more, years or generations are going to experience in this, electoral system, it's as long as we allow it to exist and that we understand the power that we have on a local, state, and federal level. And so I plan to vote in 2026 and 2028, 2020, 2030. All of the local and state elections are going to have me participating in them. No one can take that right away from me because I understand the history of this country and how hard our ancestors fought, HBCU students fought for the right to vote. So I will never give that up. So it's here as long as we allow it to stay here.
Absolutely. But do you think so first of all, do you think the two-party system is working?
Now that's where I enjoy the nonpartisan civic engagement side because I'm allowed to educate students and support our community with the mindset of thinking outside the two-party system and
Nice.
just think about care and how do
Mm,
you show up in your community? How do you exist as a good citizen? And that is not partisan. That is simply
agreed.
showing up. And so
Agreed.
I think I'm going to always relate to students 'cause I work with students.
Of
So
course.
many students, they see the limelight that exists in partisan politics where they want to go stand next to the president, the congress member, and work on the Hill. And I'm like, those are great things because we've all have been there. We all had those aspirations. But once you like see that light where it's like, I can actually just show up for my community
Yes.
and do that and advocate for things that support people who look like me, people who are going through things that I'm not even experiencing, but I want to support them. And so I think if we continue helping people understand how nonpartisan politics work, of just
Yes.
educating them about how systems, can better your community, and then it's a tool. Voting is a tool. once you figure that side out and you lean less on wanting the limelight of standing next to the, the politicians, I think this people can understand what life exists like outside of the two-party system. So that may go away pretty soon, and people realizing their power. And so when I said earlier about we have the power to keep this work going, it's not about us keeping the next Democrat or Republican in office. It's about who we are coming together, how we are coming together as a community to advocate and tell these elected leaders to show up for us, and how we direct the plans that are moving, because they work for us. They answer to the concerns and needs of the people. And so I appreciate this question, because I have to deal with a lot of students who don't see the fun and enjoyment of nonpartisan work. They want to jump directly into working on a partisan campaign, and that is their climb. And come join us, and I got you.
Yes, I listen, I appreciate the entire breakdown that you just gave. I am hoping that more and more students at HBCUs like you, I speak of students because I work with students. I hope I'll be 110 still working with students. I'm so serious, and specifically HBCU students, because that's the community that I am closest to. I have noticed recently, so I have a freshman class that I teach, and I've noted at an HBCU, and I noticed recently we have a lot of conversations. We talk about everything, and that's very, very intentional. And recently, actually, we had a conversation with a couple of the students who talked about having worked. One is from Chicago. One's from Chicago. He's from Chicago. Tevon Blair is from Chicago.
Yeah.
One is from Chicago, and she was leaning. I don't know how she identifies with regards to her political party affiliation, but she was working with the Democratic Party, and she got disillusioned. And she got disillusioned by realizing, and I don't think anyone's going to be surprised by me saying this. I'm just going to say it, realizing that all the things, the policies, the campaign promises that this particular person was sharing on the trail, behind closed doors, and she's not faulting the candidate, and that's why I'm not going to mention who the candidate was, but behind closed doors, she realized it really was about the money.
Oh.
And that disillusioned her greatly,
Mm-hmm.
because it made her realize very quickly, these are her words, not mine, that, oh wait, I don't think it would have mattered what political party this person belonged to, when the dictate often does not come from the people that will be voting for you, but how am I going to fund? We talked about funding earlier on, Tavon. But how am I going to fund my campaign? And because I have to be worried about how I'm going to fund my campaign, I now become beholden to a large degree to the funders of that campaign. And she said, you know what, Dr. T? I don't think I can work in politics like I thought I wanted to. And I think it is now time for me to shift to just working in civic engagement and influence from the outside of politics and not from within politics. So to your point, I think if we get more and more of our young ones realizing their power,
Mm-hmm.
I do think I agree with you that the two-party system hopefully does not have that much life left in it, because it's not. Tosin is going to say it. I'm not going to speak for Tavon, but I'm going to say it. It's not working. Okay, Tavon, let me listen. Before I get yelled at by my producer, I need to have us do the rapid 67. So it is 67 seconds of me throwing a bunch of questions at you, and I can't wait to hear your answers. And we're coming back to the social impact conversation, because I'm. Can you tell how excited I am
I
talking
got
about
so much
it?
to add to that. Yes.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. So, time's on the clock. Thank you. Describe your HBCU experience in one word.
New Orleans, Louisiana.
New Orleans. I need more on that in a second. If your time in college was a song, what song would it be?
Oh God. Okay, so the song is going to be Chopper Style.
God is good. Okay.
Mm.
Um, what would you want to tell your college roommate but never got a chance to?
Thank you. I had three of them.
You had three of them. Thank you. Are any of them those who joined you to start doing Excel Leader or no?
No, but they are,
No.
two of them are my fraternity brothers. One is my line brother.
Lovely, lovely. On a scale of 1 through 10, not grad school but undergrad, how good of a student were you?
I was great. I
Lo-
balanced my time. I was there to get my education. I'm a first generation college student.
Nice, nice. Shout out your favorite professor, person at your HBCU.
I have two.
Let's
The
hear
first
it.
one's going to be Dr. Cleo Allen, my communications advisor, and then Dr. Talia Pennington, the reason why I went to Dillard University, and a proud Dillard alum as well.
I love it. So, time's up, but I'm going to ask you. Listen, you're Tevon Blair, so something tells me whatever I ask you, you're going to answer. So, I'm going to ask you one last rapid fire question. Should Joe Biden have run for president in 2024?
No.
No. Okay. Nice, nice and quick answer. Be- He's like, no.
Mm-mm.
Before I get to, because I want to, when I asked you describe your HBCU experience in one word, you said New Orleans, Louisiana. Before you give me that though, we know you're from Chicago and you ended up in Louisiana. And we know that you are you have a strong affinity to Georgia. At least we know this. The audience is hearing this now. My point is, you had several HBCUs along the way.
Mhm.
Give me your college selection journey. Why Dillard University? I love Dillard University, but how did you select Dillard University?
So, as a first generation college student, trying to figure out, like, first off, what is the college process, how to get through this, I didn't know much about it. I was just kind of like knowing that I wanted to get out of Chicago and I
Mm,
wanted to
mm,
go far. And I had a great family upbringing. Is just more so of I. My mother, she always, told me that I need to, pursue education. That's one thing that no one can ever take from me. And I could have easily, went to school in Ohio or in Kentucky, but I was like, no, I need to go experiment. And so I went on a college tour. And so that's where my high school supported us. We went to Louisiana. That was my very first time outside of Illinois on a college tour. And so we went to Southern, we went to Xavier, and then Tulane and Loyola. And Dillard was the one school that I walked on campus and I felt that I can graduate. I believe that I can graduate in 4 years. And so Dillard has this thing where um, we don't walk on the oaks, and so you don't walk on the grass of the oaks until graduation day, or there's a belief that you won't finish in 4 years. And so, just meeting the students who are giving us our tour and seeing how beautiful the campus was, Dillard really inspired me to think about what my future would be like. And then I had the alum Talia Pennington, who was my recruiter. And so I went to a 100 Black Men college fair in 2013, got accepted on site to Dillard, got funding, like some scholarships on site. And Dillard was still not my number one. And I didn't know anything about HBCUs. So I was like, I'm going to go to this PWI, I'm going to go here, because in Chicago, they push the Mizzou, they push the Illinois,
of
all those
course,
big schools.
of course.
And when I didn't get accepted into my dream school, I was like, well, I guess I'll just stay in Illinois and I'll go, somewhere here. And then my college advisor, she said, Dillard is a great school. You should look into it. And so in my mind, I was like, okay, I'll go to Dillard for a year or a semester. I'll go for a semester and then transfer to another school. After my first semester in New Orleans, Louisiana, I fell in love. I met so many friends and got embedded, like, and so deep into the culture of New Orleans. And I always say New Orleans was my introduction to being welcome back to the South. One of my friends told me last year that I'm a descendant of the Great Migration, and I never heard that. I never thought about it like that. That somebody never said that out loud. And I'm like, okay, I am from Chicago. My grandma family is from Alabama, Mississippi. My grandfather's from Louisiana and Texas. I am a descendant of Great Migration, and I think me coming back to the South, being here in Georgia, being in New Orleans, the South has welcomed me in, and it's like a welcome home party for me.
So is that what you mean when, if you were to encapsulate, your HBCU experience in one word, it's not just the HBCU for you, it's the entire city
It's the
of New Orleans.
it's the city. I found out that my grandfather's family is from New Iberia, Louisiana, and me being the first person to go to college, and then my cousin, he's the second person to go to college. He went to school in Houston. It's Texas Southern. The two of us are the two folks in the family to get our degrees, and we are in the two cities and states that our family's roots come from. So when I describe Dillard University to people, I first ask them where's Dillard? And they typically don't know. And then I tell them, what's your favorite city to have a good time and eat good food? And they're like, New Orleans? And I'm like, yeah. And imagine going to college there for 4 years. So,
Oh, that's a perfect way to put it, actually.
mhm,
Oh wow, that the way you
mhm.
described it, if you took people on a college tour, Father Lord in heaven, you would literally steal applicants and candidates from several other universities, because that feels good. That feels like a hug with words. That's what I got when you described it that way. It
Imagine being
literally,
18, an 18-year-old with the
yes,
opportunity to New Orleans. It changed my life, and it made me the adult I am today.
that you are today. I absolutely love it. You mentioned earlier on that you were a little disappointed about not getting your dream school. What was your dream school? You didn't mention it.
So I wanted to go to Mizzou. Mizzou was
You
my
wanted to go to Mizzou.
I'd never been to the campus. That was just a school that all of the upperclassmen before me were going. And so in Chicago, when you go around the high school, you see nothing but like these PWI, like
The
flags,
penance, yeah,
attendance, and you have all these aspirations because that's what you've seen. And so me not having aunts or uncles or grandparents who went to college, I'm just going off what I see. And so I'm
of
like, I want to go
course,
to Mizzou and
of course.
never been to the campus. And so I don't know why that was even a dream school for me. It's just for people were going to that school.
Nice, nice. Um, okay. I would say Dillard is, and you're going to correct me if I'm wrong. When we look at the top, and when I say top, I'm referring to, let's not use the word top then. When we look at the most populated, because that's what I'm getting at, is population and school size. When we look at the most populated HBCUs in the country, what do you think smaller HBCUs? Because I would consider Dillard a smaller
We are.
HBCU. Okay, good.
Mhm.
What do you think smaller what do you think smaller HBCUs need to do to make sure that they remain in the conversations that the bigger institutions are having?
Yeah, thank you for that. I want to say that storytelling is the key thing that every college should be looking at, specifically with HBCUs. Leading a nonprofit, I've been able to learn about the different histories that exist, and the legacy that has been built on these HBCU campuses. Being on the campus of Fisk University, of Virginia State University, Norfolk. Like, I've learned so much about their individual stories and where their alum have gone. And even at Edward Waters, now university, I've met alumni from those schools
Yeah,
who are doing amazing things in their careers, and they always, doesn't matter what, where they go in their career or what graduate school they go to, they're going to always give their praises to the 4 years they spent at their undergrad institution. And so HBCUs, we have a level of storytelling that we miss out on sometimes
mm,
when we're
of
thinking about present day. And I think present day exists because of what happened
course.
from the start of our institutions, and allowing students to tell that story as they are not only experiencing it, but they will soon be alum one day. And so one thing that XL Leader does, we encourage alumni giving through service and mentorship, and having alums reflect on the 4 years they experienced on their campus. And that helps them give back. And so it's less of like, hey, we need you to give some money over to us. We need you to give your time and service of what you wish you would have had as a college student. And so I know a lot of schools are experiencing the impact of social media and how everything spreads so fast, whether it's good or bad. And sometimes the bad outshines the good moments. However, I think if we have more people, more alums, more students, more advocates of HBCUs talking about our institutions, not shying away from the bad things that happen because that happens
Absolutely.
everywhere,
Absolutely.
but being transparent and saying we need to ensure our schools remain here and this is why they remain here, and through the storytelling on social media, high school students, they choose HBCUs, the Howards, the A&Ts, the FAMU because of the, if you go on TikTok right now, you're going to see the student experience at those schools and everybody's going to be talking about it. I always tell Dillard alum and the alums that I work with is that if you had a bad issue that happened at your university, you're not upset with the institution, the legacy of the institution. You're upset with an individual, and you're upset with the
Hmm.
person who messed up your experience.
Hmm.
And so, do not put that on that HBCU and the legacy
Hmm.
there. And so that's where we see this gap in alumni who want to give back, and it's always this gap between 22-year-olds to 50, even to 50. So that 22 to 50 range, there are alum out here existing. I don't even think an organization knows the number of HBCU alum that exists today.
I agree.
There's
I
so many of
agree.
us.
I
So
agree.
I think that storytelling and using social media to do that will really shift how smaller HBCUs can really make that impact. Specifically, like, Dillard University in New Orleans, Louisiana, the oldest HBCU in the state.
You've said a lot, and I did not share this. I've read your bio, so I know that you are a strategic communicator by profession as well. So I'm not surprised, but I'm grateful that you referenced storytelling
Mhm.
as a strategy that is necessary with regards to our HBCUs. But there are a few other things. You said a lot in a good way. And one of the other things that you said that I know any student watching it is like, see, um, is don't shy away from the challenges.
Yeah.
Don't act as if it's not happening. I'm as somebody who was is a public relations professional by training, I always say spinning the story your way is actually not always the best way
Mhm.
to retain credibility with your stakeholders. Sometimes admitting the wrong and then inviting the stakeholders to be parts. That's why I love when you said inviting students to be the ones that are telling the story. Because you listen, you mentioned TikTok, Father Lord in heaven, there is almost not a single month, let me say a month as opposed to a week. There's almost not a single month that there isn't some HBCU student somewhere talking about their experience at an HBCU, good, bad, and indifferent. And like you said, oftentimes it's not the entire institution that they have a problem with, it is an individual. But I don't like to say playing devil's advocate. Let me just play a critical advocate here, right?
Like that.
And it is to the several, ooh, you that's a wide gap, 22 to 50, but you're not wrong. There are several alum that I speak to, and when I ask them why they don't give back, they go back to the bad experiences that they had. And a number of them, when I make the argument, well, the issue is not with the entire institution, pray tell. It's one or two individuals. Oh, but Dr. T, they condoned it. They didn't let the person go. They didn't this, they didn't that. What do you say then to leadership who are aware of some of the reoccurring issues at our institutions? Because you said, let's be honest about some of the stuff,
Mhm.
right? What would you say to leadership at some of our institutions who are aware of the reoccurring issues and don't make swift action in correcting it? What would you say to them that they could possibly want to consider when it comes to this wide berth of 22 to 50 of alumni just out here living and saying, please don't mention that school to me. Let me go and do this instead. What would you say to them?
I think they have to be reminded that their job is temporary, that it's simply a job to them. And leaders come in and out. However, students and alumni, this is our lived experience for a lifetime.
For a
And
lifetime.
so I want leaders to understand that your role, whether it's a university president or as vice president of student affairs, you are doing a job. And I understand that for you. So your deep love and passion for the school can never be compared to what a student or an alumni is going to experience. And so when you hear alumni be vocal about something, that is the deepest form of love to our HBCUs. And so if they're challenging you, they want you to lead and do your job. And so if you are looking to make things better, how can I fix the storytelling about our school
Hmm.
and the all these crises that we're trying to get over? Depend on your alumni and your students to help tell that story, to help be transparent with them. And that is the way for you to get donors. That is the way for you to get, and I say donors as not only these big name folks, it's the alumni and the students. And you may see us as these small dollar donors, but these small dollar donors, they turn into big dollar donors. And they also help keep the doors open by ensuring that more students are coming in. And so
Absolutely.
that is my answer to them, is that your job is temporary and you can be replaced.
I listen. You said that when alumni speak, that is the deepest form of love. So one day, maybe a couple of years from now, maybe 5 years from now, you're gonna write my bio. Not joking. I like the way you pull the words together that hit the nail on the head. Um, I know I've never heard anyone put it that way. And it hit me hard because I know that, and I'm not speaking for leadership, but let me just say this. I have a sneaking suspicion. Let me not say I know because I'm not in their heads. But I have a sneaking suspicion that when leadership hear the alumni complaints or they hear even current student complaints, that's how they hear it, as complaints, as aggravation. What if they heard it as this is love.
Mhm.
This is love. And it is their deepest form of love expression. Why don't I dance with them in this space and figure out how we can massage things a little bit to make things a little bit? I love the way you put words. You, every now and then, there is a guest I speak to that justifies the name I love my HBCU question mark, because people are like, why the question mark? Listen, guys, Tevon Blair just explained the question mark without even realizing it. When we ask these questions, when we express these challenges, it is not out of disdain. It is out of, guys, this was my lived experience. And we only mention these things that we love. Other than that, everyone just stays quiet and keeps on moving. So I appreciate that. I want to go to the original mission of Excel Leader that you shared earlier on, and I absolutely love it. And that was the training of SGA leaders. As somebody who was an SGA, I'm assuming you were an SGA at one point. Were
Yeah,
you the SGA president?
I was a two-term SGA president.
You, of course. Did you see that smile on his face, guys? I was a two-term SGA president. Of course you were.
Co-founder
You were the
of
you
SGA.
were the overachiever, of course. um, why? Why? Because something tells me to come up with a mission like that. Most missions come out of a need,
Mhm.
most missions come out of a purpose, or most missions come out of a passion. Why? What made you say this is what we should do?
Yes. So not only with myself as SGA president, my two co-founders, Jade and Arian, we were all SGA presidents at our institutions. And we met at a student leadership conference where we were all of our connections here as adults as well are former SGA presidents. And so there was a level of community and leadership that existed differently before social media became this performance. And as we were talking earlier about the use of social media, in the 2019 or 2018 period, there was a new wave of leaders coming in where
Yeah.
they had to rely on social media to show like it wasn't a bad thing. They needed
Yeah.
to use it to show impact. But it became to a point as years went on is that people cared more about the performance and the show than
Absolutely.
doing the impact.
Absolutely.
And so we're like, let's pause. Let's try to create an organization where we can train up students to know that SGA is not you running for Mr. and Miss of the university. It is you coming to make impact and to shift the culture on campus and to support students in policy change or advocating for different issues. And we felt that students were missing that piece. And so our Excel leader training was sitting with them, and it was replicating the political campaigns that we see. And so during that time, while we were founding Excel Leader in the fall of 2018, the year after, well, the 6 months after we graduated from college, I was working on the Stacey Abrams campaign, managing interns and volunteers. So I was in my season of like, okay, I'm not an SGA president anymore. I'm not a leader in this, HBCU student experience anymore. How can we give back? How can
Mm,
we support HBCUs when our schools are asking us for money, but we don't have the financial means to do that? And if you know campaign world before the pandemic, they were not paying all of that. And so I'm like, I just want to give my time back and mentor students. And so as three SGA presidents, we realized that we wanted to support students in a way that we didn't have access to those, connections or opportunities to meet other alums to give us advice of how to lead in this moment. But also there
mhm.
were not alums who knew how to lead in the world of social media and how, you can get so lost in the sauce of posting a photo and, saying, hey, I'm doing this. These are all my achievements. But it's like, what is the truth behind that? And so Excel Leader wanted to bring some substance back to leadership. And mind you, we were 22. So we were still figuring out ourselves as well. And our students allowed us to guide with us. And so one of our students, Dominique, she is now one of our program managers for the Excel Lead Her program, where we support HBCU women on their campus to build community with them. We flew out 50 of them
Absolutely.
to DC last month, all expense paid trip to Washington, D.C. for our HBCU Women's Leadership Summit, where the women can be in community with each other and understand that regardless of where they go in their careers, as women from HBCUs, you can go be a vice president, president, CEO of a company. You can start your own work. You can be a U.S. ambassador or a diplomat, letting them know where they can go. And so, Excel Leader, us just wanting to help students lead, is what birthed where we are today.
Are you currently, I hope the answer is yes, because if it isn't, we need to figure out how that happens. Are you currently connected with all SGA presidents, or all SGA offices at every HBCU?
So I want to introduce what Excel Leader does now to give a sense of like to answer that question better.
Absolutely.
So Excel Leader, we started off as a nonprofit that supported HBCU a Zoom. We started off as a Zoom call. Excel Leader started off as a Zoom call to support HBCU students who wanted to become SGA presidents. And as years went on, maybe 2 years within the pandemic, we realized that there are so many more students on HBCU campuses who need support and resources and mentorship. And we were seeing that there was less of I want to become SGA president and more so of, I'm dealing with this issue. I'm going through
Yeah,
mental health challenges. I'm not getting access to opportunities. Like the pandemic did a lot of shifts in how students experience college on HBCU campuses.
absolutely.
And we saw that becoming a need. And so we shifted away from the SGA presidents and we focused on HBCU students in general of how we can support them. And so our three programs focus on civic engagement, women's equity, and entrepreneurship. And we look at how leadership development can be centered in those three areas. Those are some of the three top areas where HBCU students experience civic engagement, knowing that we are HBCUs located in southern states where laws and policies are being changed to impact our institutions. The women's equity side, seeing that HBCU women are a majority of the population on college campuses, and Black women are are the most educated population to
They
exist.
are.
Um,
The most degreed.
more, yeah, more agreed,
We
and
love our degrees.
yeah, and for the School of Hustle is the entrepreneurship side of the work. There are so many entrepreneurs on an HBCU campus when it comes to the barber, the hairstylist, the lash tech, the DJ, the photographer. That's where XO Leader exists now, and supporting those students and becoming leaders in the space. And so the SGA president side, it exists among the work that Vote HBCU does,
Yes.
because we have this saying that to be an HBCU student is to be a civically engaged student.
Yeah.
When we talk to our students, specifically SGA leaders, we tell them, if you are going to walk around campus and telling people that you are a leader there, you need to be promoting nonpartisan civic engagement. It's not your job to tell them who to vote for. It's your
Absolutely.
job to educate them. And you cannot walk around that campus saying that you don't believe your vote matters or that you don't
Mm,
voting,
mm.
because you ask people to vote for you. So that is where the SGA president world, where we try to train them up. But honestly, in our program, we've had more non-SGA presidents in our work. We work with students who want to become SGA president, and they
Of
get the
course.
training and support through Vote HBCU, as we have Segal Buchanan over at Bethune-Cookman University in Florida.
I listen. If I can't drop this mic that I'm on, but if there was a mic drop for you to drop, you need to drop that mic. You cannot go around saying you don't believe in voting if you are a student leader in SGA when you asked people to vote for you. That's powerful. B, if we had another hour, which that hour will come, it might not be today. I want us to get into what campaigning on HBCU campuses
Mhm.
have become. And I'm talking about all of it, campaigning for student organization leadership titles, as well as you and I both know, come heavy national campaign season, HBCU campuses are always going to be the pit stop for one candidate or another.
Mhm.
So you've got to come back, Tevon, and have us have just that conversation. Because when you said earlier on about us not knowing our power, I think it involves that as well. I think that we forget that we sent you there. And it doesn't matter what the position is or where the position lies. We sent you there. If it depends on a vote, we sent you there. But I think we often forget that because we sent you there, we can change our minds about who we want back in those spaces,
Mhm.
and we get lost. Anyway, I said a conversation for another day, and listen to me delving into it. No, it is a conversation for another day. This has been exciting. But before we leave, you're in Georgia. It is impossible that you do not know about Jaden Williams. Yes.
It sounds so familiar.
Because Jaden Williams, 20, if I'm going to get his age wrong,
Yes, the youngest new mayor, I think, in
Stockbridge,
Stockbridge. Yes.
yes, Stockbridge, Georgia, Clark Atlanta University, current student.
Mhm.
We had him on the podcast, and if anyone has not listened to Jaden, you must listen to him. The youth needs to be given the platform. I don't care what you think of them as leaders. I don't care how you think they're going to lead. Lord have mercy, everybody was there one day, and you're going to make mistakes. The youth and I'm glad they gave him the platform. So I say support him, support him, support him, whether or not you voted for him, whether or not you believe in his platform. Support him, support him, support him. Okay. I brought his name up because I was hoping you'd heard of him, and I'm glad you've heard of
I can
him.
add on a bit there.
Yes, please.
Um, I made a video the other day because I spoke on a panel in Macon, Georgia, with Solve. They bring together different nonprofits who do civic engagement work. And the question was asked to me about what is the generational tension that exists. And so, knowing that I work with
Hmm.
young students, they asked me that question. And I said, well, today's generation of students, they want to lead. They want to step up and run for office and lead social movements, but they're constantly told to stop. It's not your time yet. Wait your turn. And it's so interesting because when you look at the civil rights movement or any movement across this country, young people, young college students have always been the ones to lead that work. And so today's students need the support, they need the access to resources and the mentorship to pass the torch. They are the students who are seeing their rights being snatched away. They were born in a generation where they had all these access to opportunities, and they're constantly seeing them being snatched away on the local,
Yeah.
state, and federal level.
Yeah.
And so this generation is the first generation since the 60s that is ready to lead and step up to lead. So we need to support more students. So, yeah.
I appreciate you for adding that. I absolutely appreciate you for adding that, and support them. I'm going to add this: support them without imposing your agenda on them. That's my thing, because I see the support as long as Tevon is willing to work on support them without imposing your agenda on them. Okay, Tevon, clearly we're going to do this again. Clearly you and I can literally talk about social impact and civic engagement like endlessly. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Is there anything that you're like, Tosin, why didn't you ask me about this? Why didn't you say this? Share with the audience anything, just don't make it time sensitive, but share with the audience anything that I have not done a great job of bringing up that you absolutely want them to hear about before we end this conversation.
So the biggest thing, it's like a shameless plug as well, is
Please.
that in the impactful work that we just talked about on this in this conversation, as a nonprofit organization, we are constantly having to work, but also fundraise. And our strategy is always thinking about how do we get HBCU alumni to remember and to think about their experiences throughout those 4 years and the support they wish they would have had. And so Excel Leader is showing up for HBCU students, and we're bringing HBCU alumni in that space as well. And so as we're in this political climate where they're not funding organizations who are supporting things that specifically list out racial equity or Black, how are we surviving in this space? And so for us, we're being very transparent that our grant that we received, it ends in 2027. And so we're trying to like build up this network of alumni.
Absolutely.
Where our work is funded through alumni. And so I want to emphasize the Excel Leader co-founders are volunteers. Every alumni that supports our work are volunteers. The work that we do as HBCU alums, we love our schools and we love the community we're part of. And so I guess to answer my question of like, how are we surviving in this space, is we're just continuing to do the work and keeping to stay inspired by the students and the young people. But we just hope one day that we can, approach more alums, or even if it's like $5, $10, or $20, that is literally you paying for more than a drink a month. And if you invested that monthly into Excel Leader, that can literally shift the lives of students. So we're getting there. It's someday, but that's what I wanted to add in, is that we're doing great work, but great work also comes with costs to the students. As we're flying these students out to DC, all expenses paid fellowship programs. And one day we hope that we get the support from our community to really make this work possible, regardless of who's elected in office.
So it's going to happen. I believe that. Remember, I talked about purposeful delusion earlier on. It's going to happen, and we're going to put all this information of ways in which people can support Excel Leader in our YouTube byline when your episode comes out, as well as all of our social digital assets as well. Tevon Blair, end this episode for us by sharing with the audience why you love HBCUs.
I love HBCUs because what HBCUs have impacted. I'm gonna redo that one.
Please go ahead.
I love HBCUs and I love Dillard University because of the impact it has had on my life, but also what I am able to do to support the next generation of HBCU students who have come after me.
If you are a HBCU student or alum and you have heard Tevon Blair on this podcast, I believe it is impossible for you not to follow Excel Leader. I also believe it is absolutely impossible for you not to like this episode and follow I Love My HBCU ? On all of our platforms. Tevon Blair, I'm excited for all of the work that we're going to do together. We're in this space together, and I'm grateful that you joined us on our platform today. Guys, those of you who can hear the sound of my voice, those who are watching us, yours and HBCU love. See you next episode. Thank you, Tevon. You've been listening to I Love My HBCU ? Let's keep the conversation going as we share our stories and encourage more practical support of HBCUs whilst of course holding each other accountable. Don't forget to follow and subscribe for the latest episodes. Until next time, love and lift your HBCU.